Okay, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass. Live in living color here with you on Grande's Graveyard. Do you notice an improvement? I don't know. I might be in high definition for the first time since I left the studio back in Ram Nation probably over a year ago now. It's just absolutely insane. I think the last show I did there maybe October or November of 2019. So it's about a year, if not just maybe a little bit less. But I got this nice brand new webcam, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to debut it on the show tonight. So basically, I look a little bit better. I'm not as, pixelated and slow and delayed. At least I hope I'm not delayed. I don't know how I sound. I don't know if anybody who's watching right now could tell me if I sound good. I hope I'm coming out loud and clear. I don't know. I won't know until this all ends. So if anybody could tell me if I got a good sound, if you can hear me right, I would greatly appreciate that. I did some sound testing before I went live, but I wasn't too sure how it's going to sound out to y'all. So if I'm blasting loud, I could speak lower, and if I'm too low, I can speak. If anybody could speak fucking louder, it's me, man, for sure. Aiden Vavers in the Heezy, rocking that awesome Bruiser avatar. Yo, rest in peace, George Romero. And okay, sound good. Okay, excellent. That's good to know because I was kind of worried. I knew that I'd look good with the HD, but sound was a completely other, different thing. So very glad that I sound okay, look okay, and it's all okay here on this voluptuous Friday, dude. I've been really looking forward to this weekend, and usually I do these shows on Thursdays, but man, I've been so freaking swamped from work and life in general that I was just like, you know what? I'm just show prepping a day later this week. I usually show prep on Wednesdays, and then on Thursdays I do the show. But this week I moved it back a day. I went out to eat last night. Just I went to Hooters. I had a very beautiful waitress. Her name was Audra, and I'm madly in love with her. Neon Black Reviews in the Heezy. Oh man, dude, good to see your name live on the show. I've been really enjoying your Masters of Horror retrospective of that series, man. I'm a huge fan of that show. I think I did my top 10 episodes maybe 2 years ago. That was a Ram Nation show for sure. I did my top 10 episodes and I talked about the series as a whole. That's one of my favorite horror TV shows of all time. And man, your reviews have been really good and thorough. I really, really, really loved your rant on Homecoming. Fun fact, it was really late night. I'm coming home from my friend's house and I'm scrolling through in my car, like something to watch on the way home. And I popped on your rant of that. Man, you put that shitty episode in its goddamn place. I hate Homecoming. I hate when they bring politics into horror, like completely unnecessary, man. But I enjoyed that, and I've enjoyed most of your reviews. So I can't wait to see even down the road that ones like Pick Me Up. I love Pick Me Up. Would love to hear your thoughts. And I know, of course, Pelts. That's Argento season two. Season two is really interesting because I don't think it's as strong as season one, but it's definitely interesting to talk about to say the least. A lot of bad CGI in those episodes, but certainly watchable, and it's really fun to discuss the second season because I really always had wished they had done a third. I don't really count Fear itself. I just can't. It's not official, man. Awesome. Thank you, Aiden. Oh yeah, for sure, brother. Need to watch your rant on shitty Homecoming episode. Yeah, Aiden. I know you love Masters of Horror too. Neon Black Reviews. He's doing all these excellent reviews for each individual episode on his channel. So I highly recommend you check his channel out. It's really, really good stuff. Everybody watching for that matter. I love Jennifer and Peltz so much. Dude, me too. Argento is so much fun. Peltz is a blast, man. And Jennifer is just like the great touch Argento does on sexuality in horror, which is something that he really, other than maybe some parts in Tenebrae, had not really touched upon. I guess maybe in some ways the Stenhall syndrome, he touched on sexuality a little bit, but not quite like Jennifer. If you've seen Jennifer, obviously you know what I mean. But that's a really both of those episodes I think are textbook Dario Argento, and they're probably the last good things that and Mother of Tears that Dario Argento was a part of. And but that is what it is. I figured before I get into the topic of the show tonight, I show this because I got this in the mail yesterday and I was super excited. It came 2 days late, unfortunately, but I still think this is an awesome pickup from Vestron Video. We've been waiting a long time in America to get a region one of this Blu-ray right here. It is David Cronenberg's Shivers. Oh yeah, slipcover. Woo! Which way did I go? Woo! Which way did I go? I'm gonna go this way. Still sealed. I haven't watched it yet, obviously. But man, I had been wanting to pick this one up. It's dropped to about $10 on fucking Amazon now. $10 free Prime shipping. I mean, I paid $13 for it, but man, that's a crazy ass deal. You need to spend the $10 on this because I love this movie. This is, in my opinion, David Cronenberg just at his absolute finest. His first few films are my favorite. Like this, The Brood, Rabid, Videodrome, The Fly, Scanners, even oh god, the one with the two brothers and Michael Ironside. Holy shit! What the hell is the name of that? Dead. Oh my god. I'm sorry. Someone will fucking say it in the comments. Dead something. Dead Ringers. Dead Ringers. That's it. Dead Ringers. I beat you to the I don't see anybody that commented it, so that's cool. AJ Zetro into Hazy. What's going on, good brother? How is Cannibal Apocalypse, man? I gotta know. I gotta know what you thought of it. The Horror Boy. Yo, Nate. What's going on, my friend? Hope all is well. I'm pretty sure you're a ginormous fan of this movie that I would be talking about here tonight. I think you are. I feel like we've talked about it before, so I think so. But I'm going to be getting into that one, and I know we both feel the same way about the 2016 film. That's going to be a fun little discussion. I don't know if it's going to be a review as much as it's going to be a crazy ass rant. Thank you, Aiden. I figured I'd rattle off some of the features on this because I highly recommend anybody picks this up. Vestron Video does some awesome releases. I think they have the Return of the Living Dead 3 out. They put out Blood Diner, which goes for stupid money now, which I think is ridiculous. At least it did for a little while. I don't know if it's dropped down again. It seems to go up. It's like $30 for Blood Diner or then $17 for Blood Diner. You know what I mean? I don't get it at all. But yeah, awesome special features on this. Audio commentary with writer-director David Cronenberg. Another audio commentary with co-producer Dan Kermode. I believe it wasn't, oh my god, who fucking also produced this? Somebody else who had done, I think Ghostbusters, like, oh my god. I think Ivan Reitman produced this, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was Ivan Reitman. It doesn't say him here, but I'm pretty sure Ivan Reitman had a piece in this. This is like one of Canada's big horror movies, and it was a movie that at the time was really hated. But I think it's a classic body horror film. Interviews with writer-director David Cronenberg. That's a new one. That's cool. Interview with actress Lynn Lowry, who's also in, of course, The Crazies. A couple years before this. Really like Lynn Lowry. Interview with special makeup effects creator Joe Blasco. See, I would love to watch that because I thought the special effects in this movie, considering how old and low budget it was, were incredible. Interview with Greg Dunning, archival 1998 David Cronenberg interview. So you got a lot of David Cronenberg, which is exactly what you want on a David Cronenberg film special edition. Includes the digital copy, which I'll never use. If anybody wants it, reach out. I'll give it to you. Yeah, so I will definitely be giving this one a look in high def because I know for the longest time in the States, we could not get a nice edition of this movie. And I know the DVD was out of print. Unfortunately, I don't know why. But it is what it is. I'm glad to own it now. One day I'll get The Brood on Criterion, but I believe it's like $40 $37 or something. That's crazy, man. I'm not throwing that for I love The Brood, but I'll stick with my $10 MGM DVD for now, man. But yeah, I will definitely get to watching David Cronenberg's Shivers sometime this weekend. I really want to see the transfer. I believe Vestron does a really, really good job with their stuff, so I'm very, very interested to see how this looks in high def. I'm really stoked. Little Cronenberg in high def. Can't beat it. But we're about almost 10 minutes in now, and we haven't gotten to the main topic of the show yet. Yes, ladies and gents, last night I did prep and rewatch this one. It is probably one of horror's most controversial titles ever. It's a movie that some will tell you is one of the scariest films of all time. One of the films that truly frightens them the first time they watch it. A film that, even though it is simple, even though it does not show that much, that people claim they feel the experience as opposed to seeing or being shown a monster of practical effects or CGI for that matter. And on the other hand, it's a movie that a lot of people hate. It's a movie that people will say it's overrated. It's a movie that people will say isn't scary and contains some of the most annoying characters and worst dialogue. You can touch each end of the horror spectrum with this movie. It is very polarizing film, and the film I'm talking about is none other than Eduardo Sanchez's and Daniel Myrick's film from 1999. It is none other than the Blair Witch Project. Yes, the Blair Witch Project. I still have the old school Artisan DVD, of course. I heard that Blu-ray didn't really have the greatest features. Why there's not a special edition? Whether you love or hate this film, you can't argue that there should totally be a special edition of this movie. Like, why the fuck there isn't? I don't know. Like, what? Like, there's a special edition Blu-ray of Ghost Ship coming out in 2 weeks. Ghost Ship. What the fuck? What, Ghost Ship? Are you fucking serious, man? And the Blair Witch Project, a movie that is infamous, whether you love it or hate it. Even people that hate it have to admit that there should be a fucking special edition Blu-ray of this out. I know that there's a regular Blu-ray out, but I've heard it's bare bones, doesn't have the greatest features, and doesn't have all the fucking footage that they shot, all its the twist endings and stuff, and interviews with the cast and crew. I've watched the reunions with, Mike, Josh, and Heather, and those are excellent. Why is that not on the fucking Blu-ray? I just don't understand how there's not a special edition of this movie. And movies like fucking Ghost Ship are getting a $30 special edition Blu-ray release from fucking Shout Factory in October. It's not even like, oh, this is one of our March titles, horrors died down. Let's fucking release Ghost Ship in the beginning of October. Fuck, man. Holy shit. I best we don't go down that fucking road because the horror boy said in the comments, Ghost Ship is ghost shit. It's ghost turd, baby. I love the Blair Witch to death. That ending scares the hell out of me every time. Aiden, we'll get into that ending for sure, man. Biggest prick tense in horror history. Prick tense in horror history. What do you mean? I don't. What do you mean, AJ? Throwing your rhymes at me. Blair Witch Project is how you do horror the right way. No jump scares, no cheesy characters, just pure classic raw horror. Ooh, okay. So I know AJ's not a fan. AJ's not a fan of it. We were talking about that last night. Tease. Oh, I was like, what the fuck? Prick tense. I was like, what the fuck is prick tense? There needs to be a special. There should be. Jesus Christ, man. I don't understand. I hated the Blair Witch Project first time I saw it, but have an appreciation for it now every year watching around Halloween. Neon Black Reviews, that is funny because that is exactly pretty much what my story is with this movie. First time I saw it, absolutely hated it. I said this to my friend, and this is a true John Grande quote here. And I feel bad. I rescind the quote. After I first watched this film, I said, I want to take this movie and flush it down my toilet. I'm glad I didn't do that. But that is the truth. When I first saw the film, absolutely hated it too, man. I'm with you. But like you, I have grown an appreciation for the film too as time has gone on. So it is what it is. It's funny that I can see both sides of the fence of this because I've been on both sides of the fence. I've been on the side where that's an overrated piece of shit. I've been on the side of the fence where I think this is actually an all-time classic, scary, great horror film. So it's easy for me to see both sides. Ghost Ship is so shitty, that ending is fucking stupid. They end with the song Not Falling. Dude, yeah, that shitty, like has nothing to do with, oh my god, forget it, man. That movie stinks. Prick tense is like past tense, but longer. Oh my god, only fucking you, AJ. But I want to say that Neon Black Reviews, I can pretty much, tell my story, tell my tale of how I came across this one. It was the hype. Everybody and their mother, when this came out in 1999, were going crazy about it. I was a really small kid in 1999, so obviously I wasn't in the loop of things. But apparently this movie came out and it was all over the place. I mean, people were talking about it in the hallways of school. They were talking about it at the water cooler at work. This was the talk of the land, and this was a low budget independent horror movie that was made for no money. They rented the camera from a circuit city and they returned the camera to get a refund to save more money. That's how. I mean, that's insane. Like, could you imagine Steven Spielberg going, I'm gonna return the camera I used to shoot Jaws." Like, just think of that. Like, that's absolutely fucking crazy that the directors actually took the camera back and said, "Can we have our money back, please? Thanks. We just made a movie that's gonna make 100 times what we shot it for, if not more." But man, all I ever heard was the hype. And Grande, it's the scariest movie you've ever seen. And Grande, it's the movie that really made found footage popular. I know that Ruggero Deodato had done found footage in 1980 with Cannibal Holocaust, and I love that film. I'd actually put that movie ahead of this. But this was really the movie that pioneered the shot on video movies that came in the 2000s and later. Of course, your Quarantines of the world, your Cloverfields of the world, St. Francisville experiments, your every movie that has come on, the Poughkeepsie tapes that has come out to pretty much take this formula. And this was really the one that made it popular, if for nothing else. And I remember sitting down to watch this, watched it, and absolutely was like, this is overrated. I don't like this at all. I felt that this was not scary, and I didn't like the characters, and I didn't like the tale or anything like that. And I was disappointed with it. The one thing that did get me, though, was the ending. The ending, even the first time I saw it, I went, that was so damn creepy. And a few years passed, and I said, you know what? I'm going to revisit that Blair Witch movie, man. I'm going to revisit it. I'm going to give it another whirl. And the second time around, I liked it a lot more. And then the third time, a lot more. And progressively, every single time I've watched it since the first time, I liked the film more. It's one of those movies that just grew on me. And basically, I can give the little plot synopsis. Everybody knows the plot synopsis, but figured why not? I'm old school like that. 3 film students vanish after traveling into a Maryland forest to film a documentary on the local Blair Witch legend, leaving only their footage behind. Yes, the Blair Witch Project from 1999. I think this is I won't say masterpiece, but I'll go with the word classic. I think this is a classic horror film, and here's why. This is lightning in a bottle, in a lot of similar veins to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know if you gave Tobe Hooper more money 5 years later or 5 years before 1974 to make the same Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. I don't know if he makes as good a movie. I really don't. I think that movie was a product of that year, of that time, of those actors in that specific place. Lightning in a bottle. I really, really think that. I don't think he could have made the same movie as good or better before or after. It was that moment in time. And you look forward on Tobe Hooper's career, has he ever made a movie quite as good? I love Salem's Lot. I love The Funhouse. I love Life Force. But at the same time, those movies aren't lightning in a bottle. They're not. They're good movies, but they're not what the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was. And these directors have really kind of followed that path now. I mean, neither guy has really made anything of that much note since this. So I really think, and that adds more onto the whole lightning in a bottle thing. You have these 3 unknown actors at the time. Heather Donahue, the one that stands out the most, of course, because it's just her. I guess I always think it's just her voice, and she's the voice of the film. She's the voice you hear behind the camera, and her screams. They're embedded in my memory every time I think about this movie. I think about her screams of terror at the end of the film, and of course, the legendary, iconic confessional where she starts to say, I'm sorry for what happened, and I'm sorry that I insisted on we keep going and going, and it was my movie, and it was all I had left. And it's in that moment where you really do feel for her character, even though, hey, was she the most likable person in the world? Could she be a little bit annoying? Sure, absolutely. But I think why I like this movie is the 3 actors. I think they give very good, genuine, organic performances that really are underrated, I think. And it's crazy to me that I know Joshua Leonard's had a decent career, But the other two, I mean, did they do anything really after this of any note? It's incredible. I think all three of them do a wonderful job in this film. There are some excellent interviews with the people of the town, asking them about the legend. And man, they feel so real. They feel like real people. They don't look or feel like actors. You know what I mean? Like you can watch certain movies and go, all right, that guy's an actor. Like, of course, they're interviewing this guy as an actor. Like movies like Great Encounters. You know, all right, obviously this guy's a fucking actor that they're interviewing. Like, it's just, it's not, you know, you're watching a film, but with this, it's almost like you're watching a real documentary turned to obviously a horror film. I always loved the old man that they're asking about, and he tells you about the Burkittsville Seven, and then that kind of younger guy who's discussing, oh well, he'd bring them down to the basement, and he'd make one stand in the corner, and he'd kill one, and then once he was done with him, he'd take the other one out of the corner and kill him too. Just creepy, you know, and the freaking creepy lady they find in the woods who she looks like a fucking this dried apricot. She's the most scary, disgusting looking face you ever see. And she's oh god, she's so goddamn scary. And she claims that she left town for 3 days and she came back telling stories of this woman whose feet never touched the ground. And it's these little things of creativity, these little insert stories from these people that look like genuine people that you'd see at a grocery store, that you'd see walking past you on the street during the day. That adds genuine, organic feel to this movie. It doesn't feel like a movie for the first part of it. It really does feel like a documentary. And I think that really helps this movie feel realistic. And I think it adds a sort of grit that movies that have followed after it in the found footage genre, I don't think have. I really don't. Um, that being said, I think all those stories are so important because while they are so simple, they're so memorable. And it's the two fishermen and they're talking back and forth and telling you about all these stories of course, the woman whose feet never touched the ground and the guy that put people in the corner and this woman with long hairy arms who was weird looking. And it's a weird looking person that's telling you. So you're just like, oh my gosh, what the directors are doing there, what the writers doing there, they are making you fill in what these things look like with your own imagination. It's the old H.P. Lovecraft trope. And I've written a paper on this movie and how much element it takes from H.P. Lovecraft's style of writing. It's just incredible. It's let me describe everything. It was horrible. It was atrocious. It was just off. These are all these describing words without actually describing them. It's making the viewer paint in their own picture of what exactly these things and events looked like. And first time I watched this, I was like, fuck that, man. Fuck that. But upon rewatching it and hearing that story of the corner, putting the kids in the corner and killing one, and I kind of visualize it now, and it's very scary. Of what, and maybe at the end of this film, you get a little bit of a look of what that might have looked like, and it's just that glimpse that can really make something this effective. And I think those stories are epic because you remember them and you're able to paint the own, you know, your own picture in your own mind about them. Of course, you have the three characters, and they at first they're fun, they're having a good time, they're joking in the tent, and then of course one morning they wake up and they see these rocks piled in weird ways, and they see these stick figures which are on this DVD cover hanging almost like somebody put them together, and just creepy, eerie stuff. Once again, simple. We're not seeing a giant CGI monster. We're not seeing anything or anybody or hearing anything or anybody, but our characters do. And it's through our characters that we may not see a Blair Witch. We may not hear what's going on, but we feel it because we feel what they feel. We really do. They carry this movie, I think. And without these three, I don't know. I don't know if you had three bad actors, I don't think this movie works at all. I think this is it's a movie that you literally would flush down the toilet. But once again, lightning in a bottle. I think with these three, these were the only three that could have pulled it off. And it was at this time, this place, this low budget. That's why I think it really, really works. There are so many good dialogue scenes in this too, and apparently it was all improvised. That's absolutely incredible. It's not easy to do. Carry an 80-minute film and improvise all of it. That's a real hard job as an actor, dude. That's not going to be easy. So there is a lot of cursing in this movie. I'm not going to say that there isn't, but I think there's a lot of fun dialogue in there too. There's dialogue where Mike is sitting down and he goes, "Man, what direction was the evil witch from the Wizard of Oz?" And Heather goes, "Well, that was the Wicked Witch of the West." And he goes, "All right, let's go east." Like that's something I would say to try to lighten the mood. I mean, we're lost in the woods, we're scared, we're probably gonna die, but let's crack a Wizard of Oz joke. Why the hell not? You know what I mean? And I just absolutely I adore some of the banter in this. And there are some parts where they argue, and in a lot of films that would be annoying. Like, oh my god, they're arguing again. But what I liked is in real life, when you argue with somebody, odds are the next day or hours later, you're going to listen, I'm sorry. I lost my cool and I'm sorry. And that happens a lot in this movie. There's points where they're yelling at Heather, you fucking idiot. You don't know where you're going. You're so irresponsible for losing the map. And then we find out Mike, of course, kicked that fucker into the river and they start yelling at him. And I'm sorry, all right, I'm sorry. It wasn't going to help us anyway. It's those arguments that, again, I've had arguments now over a map, but I've had arguments in my life where I'm mad at somebody 1 minute and then a few hours later, all right, listen, I understand. You fucked up. You admitted to it. You owned up to it. Let's move on. Let's prosper. And that happens a lot in this movie. And I think that really, really adds to realism. It really does. I think I personally. But man, it's just again the simplicity of this. Like there's one point where Joshua Leonard, who I think for most of the movie is the glue that keeps Heather and Mike together because they're arguing more and he's trying to be the peacekeeper. And at one point he goes missing and they find like his shirt wrapped in his hair with like teeth and blood and all this stuff and they start freaking out. And at night they're in their tents and they hear Mike screaming, "Help! Oh God, help!" And that's terrifying. Like hearing a loved one, hearing a friend screaming for their life in the pure pitch black darkness and not being able to do a damn thing about it. That's terrifying. I could not imagine me and two of my best friends going out and one of them going missing and I hear him screaming and I can't do anything to step in and help. That's fucking terrifying. It really is. And I think it works. Of course, the scene where they run out of the tent and you hear Heather, "What the fuck is that?" Pans over, you don't see anything. Again, I know that will infuriate people. It did. I was one of those people the first time I saw it. I said, "Fuck this! I didn't see shit." We feel it. You really do feel it. You feel it. She's like, she buys it. She sells it. It's a great performance by Heather Donahue. I think she really does do a wonderful job in this. We do have some comments. Let's see. Oh, Mark's and Hazy, what's going on, good brother? Not only that, but they had to be their own cameraman while under the stress of having to improve. Really impressive. It really is. It really is. And the directors, what they would do, they would leave notes on their stuff. Act terrified today. You're arguing today. You don't have enough food today. That was their direction, you know? Like, I don't know how much I can accredit the directors for what these actors were able to do on improv. I mean, it's really impressive what they were able to pull off. I don't think in my wildest dreams that, I've heard people say, oh, anybody could have done these roles. I don't agree at all. I don't think I could have pulled off the terror looks on their faces. I don't think I could have sold the way Heather Donahue sells with her eyes and her screams and her tears, her literal tears. I think that stuff's pretty good, man. I want to flush VHS Viral down the toilet. VHS 1 and 2 were great, and VHS Viral, well, yeah, VHS Viral is dog shit for sure. Yeah, the map scene pisses a lot of people off. I remember the first time I saw it though. While I watched it, I wondered, would that have even mattered? Like to me, the way I see it is, it was some kind of spiritual witch intervention. There's no way they got that fucking lost by accident. There's a point where Heather says, if we keep going, we're bound to hit a road somewhere. Like it's America. I think it's just something like America is only so long. I love that line. I'm just like, yo, for real though. Like you would think if I keep walking in one direction, I'm eventually going to get to a highway or a sidewalk or something. But they the idea they keep walking in circles and there's really no way out of it. It's almost like the woods have become purgatory, and all that these people have left is the film that they're shooting. And again, I just that confessional scene with Heather Donahue crying her eyes out. I insisted that we keep going, and I'm cold, scared, and hunted, and we're gonna die out here. What was that? I'm afraid to close my eyes. I'm afraid to open them. We're gonna die out here. She just it's really the last supper, if you will. It's the last rites. It's her saying, this is my fault that this all happened. And whether there is a Blair Witch out there, and whether there is a woman whose feet does not touch the ground, I brought us into this situation, and I am truly sorry for that. And no matter how annoying you can think she is, there is a part of me that feels sympathetic for her because she owned up to this situation going to hell, and I just think it's a really strong performance. I can't stress that enough. I think she really does knock the performance out of the park. And then of course that leads you to your infamous ending, and the part of this movie that I think puts it from a good to a great horror movie. I think this ending really puts this over the top for me. Heather and Mike, they hear Josh's screams again, and they're walking, and it's in pitch black darkness, and they see a house. They go in this house. There's like little handprints, black handprints on the walls, and it's just this old, abandoned, dilapidated house. I hear them upstairs. They're running upstairs. You're just on. I remember even the first time I'm on the edge of my, what is going to happen? They go upstairs. I hear them downstairs now. They run back downstairs. Mike runs down there. You don't see what happens to him. Then you're following with Heather's camera. She gets down there. Mike's standing in the corner. You hear her scream. Camera hits the ground. Cut to black. That's horror history right there. That's horror history right there. It's one of the great endings in the history of horror movies. And think about it. Think about it on paper, right? You don't have any music going on. You don't have any real story going on. There's not really dialogue going on. It's just raw. It's absolutely fucking raw as you see this old abandoned house. And it doesn't feel like a set, obviously, in a film like a bigger budget film. It really does feel like a house they found in the middle of the woods, that God knows what happened in it. And I just think that moment in time, it's that moment where I leaned up and I said, that is so damn creepy. What happened? What was that foreshadowing before of the kids that they'd make stand in the corner as they killed one and then they'd kill the other? Was Mike that kid now standing in the corner as Josh was being killed? And Heather Donahue saw the whole thing going on and she was the next one going in that corner. We may never know, and we don't have to know. I don't have to know if there's a Blair Witch. I don't want to know what the Blair Witch looks like. Blair Witch 2016. I don't want to know. I don't have to know. Because what I felt in that house, what I felt in the final 5 minutes of that film, can never be seen. It can't. Because you can't live up to what I felt in that moment, man. It's absolutely fucking fantastic. It really is. I think the ending of this movie puts it over the top for me, personally. Um, I know, and again, I know that this has been a polarizing movie. I know a lot of people forever hate it, a lot of people forever love it. And that's the beauty of it, man. And I think a lot of ways this movie was revolutionary in the ways that it used its marketing. Here's a movie that they made a website to present it as if this really happened. These three really went missing. They paid the actors to stay low key for a while. Don't go out of your house. Heather Donahue's mother received sympathy cards because people thought she actually was fucking killed. I mean, listen, those people are stupid for thinking that. I mean, there's no way that if this was real, that the families would let this movie be released in a theater and, promoted and marketed and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, that's so strong. That's so much more meat to the potatoes because there were people that bought this. There were people that went, holy fucking shit, those three, they really died. What happened to them? And I love that, man. That's using the internet at the time, which was a brand new, really kind of a brand new thing, to your advantage. We don't have the money to produce a 2-minute trailer. We're going to make a website and a legend and a fake documentary that talks about these three as if they have passed away. That's creative. That's brilliant. We don't have the money to compete. We don't have the money to show. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell. And I thought that was really smart too. Like, it's not easy to do. And I know a lot of people will say, well, I could have done it. Fuck, I took my two buddies in the woods with me. We could have made the Blair Witch. Really think so? Like, I know, granted, that this was one of the most spoofed movies of all time. Scary movie, the Bogus Wench Project, the Bar Wench, the fucking porn parodies of this. I shit you not. Um, this is one of the most spoofed movies of all time because all you had to do was take a few friends into the woods with a camera and bam, you could shoot your spoof. But to me, I look at that stuff and I think pop culture. This movie became a part of pop culture, and I think it's the movie that, in a lot of ways, made horror scary once again. It really did because if you look at Scream, Scream made it popular again, and people were loving to love Scream and having fun and a good time and a laugh, and we can poke fun at the genre, make fun of its flaws, and all that stuff. But I don't think it was until this movie where people said, man, that horror genre. I know we've laughed at it the last couple years, and we're making our neo slashers your urban legends of the world. But this movie feels real. It feels gritty. It feels like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in some ways with its grit and organic feel. And of course, what I was saying before with the lightning in a bottle, it feels like an Alfred Hitchcock Psycho. There's not a lot of laughs, man. It's just straight horror. I love that about this movie. I think this is a movie that genuinely made the genre scary again, and I will forever respect it for that. And I think that it really is a great horror movie. And I know, once again, I know that some will never buy it, but just for my 2 cents, man, the Blair Witch Project, it is a classic of the horror film genre, and it's a movie that I think it changed the game. It really did. I mean, you look at all the shot on video movies that came after it, you look at all of the parodies and spoofs. This movie was a big part of pop culture in Americana, and it really changed the game moving into the decade that was the 2000s and the new millennium at that too. Um, this movie, game changer in my opinion. A great film. I will come in with a solid 9 out of 10 for the Blair Witch Project. It's a movie that I have grown to love and love to groan, if you will. I love this one, man, and I'm glad that I could discuss this one on the show tonight. Got a few comments here. Oh, Ryan's in the Heezy. What's going on, good brother? Yeah, cool new webcam, right? Yeah, it's better than the potato I was shooting with before, for sure. The black and white, yeah, it does. It really does. It's just you can't recreate that ending even if you tried. It's just impossible. And I know a certain film fucking tried to recreate it, which, oh God, I don't want to talk about that movie, but we're gonna have to get there. It really is. Yeah, I agree, Mark. It is pure horror extract. It is. I completely agree with what you're saying. I'm glad you appreciate it. It's funny. I feel like usually I would think Mark Murphy would be like, "Oh fuck," like I don't know. I'm actually really shocked you like it, but I'm glad. I'm thrilled you like it, man. That's awesome. Adam Wingard did a horrible job with Blair Witch 2016. Why did he show a shitty creature? I still think The Guest was a great film. Okay, fair enough. One of the reasons people believed it was real was because it was the first found footage film in a really very long time, as far as I can remember. Yeah, exactly. It was really the first mainstream found footage film, and it used the internet and it used its creativity and it did everything against the grain. It was so new at the time, and people were like, "Holy shit, this is freaking great, man!" So it's pretty cool how it all kind of organically grew. 9.5 out of 10, awesome rating. 7 out of 10, awesome rating, brother. Actually, like Book of Shadows, and I know it gets shit on. Well, I'm about to get into Book of Shadows, actually. Um, Now, when I originally wanted to do this show, I was originally just going to talk about the 1999 film. I mean, I went on for like a half hour on that one movie. Like that's how much I love, and I probably could have went on longer, but I figured if I talk Blair Witch Project, I must include the two movies that followed. In my opinion, they're both fucking bad, in the worst ways. I don't even know. Oh God, this is not going to be easy, but we will get into it. Why not? Basically, I can give a little bit of a background before I read the plot synopsis of Blair Witch 2: The Book of Shadows. Um, Artisan, obviously, they came up with this bare bones DVD. They wanted the quick cash grab, if I could spit that out. They wanted the quick cash grab, and they immediately were like, let's make a sequel. Let's make a sequel. This is hot. This is going to make money no matter what the fuck we do. Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez, they said, let's hit the brakes. Let's let this die down a little bit. Let's wait a year. Let's just hang on. We'll come up with a good story. Just don't get ahead of yourself here. We can make a franchise out of this. And personally, if you ask me, there never had to be a sequel to this. This is a one-off movie. To me, forever. I ignore these sequels. To me, they were never made. I think it ended when Heather drops the camera and saw Mike standing in the corner. That was the end of Blair Witch. That's not these two movies. I don't know what the fuck they are, to be honest with you. But Artisan said, fuck you, we're hiring Joe Berlinger. And Joe Berlinger had just come off making the Paradise Lost film, which is one of the best documentaries of all time, in my opinion. Definitely my top 10. The Murders at Robin Hood Hills, of course, talking about the West Memphis Three. And it's just a wonderful documentary. If you've never seen that, watch Paradise Lost, The Child Murders at Robin Hood Hills. I think it is a top 10 documentary in the history of movies. It's one of the best ever, in my opinion. Just, again, raw, gritty, and this was actual real footage. Why the fuck they didn't have him do that and make even a body count sequel would have probably been a better way to go than what they did with Blair Witch 2: Book of Shadows. I don't fucking know. I'm going to read plot synopsis here. A group of tourists arrives in Burkittsville, Maryland after seeing the Blair Witch Project, 1999, so obviously that's a film in this movie's universe, to explore the mythology and phenomenon, only to come face to face with their own neuroses and possibly the witch herself. God, I don't like this movie at all. I don't like Blair Witch 2 at all. It's a mess. It's one of those movies that I think Joe Berlinger probably had a better concept, idea, and intent for the film, but I think the studio just interfered and was like, let's do this, let's throw that in here, let's throw this in here, and I think it really ruins this movie. This is along the lines of like a Hellraiser 4, where there were too many fucking cooks in the kitchen, and you can tell that while watching it. With Halloween 6, I know that that's a film where you had, the producers and the director, they didn't agree, and there's two cuts of the film now. I don't get that vibe from Halloween 6. When I'm watching Halloween 6, I don't go, oh, well, there's clearly was another movie intended here. I don't really personally get that. I don't get that feeling. I know that's the case, but with this movie, and especially Hellraiser 4 Bloodline, that is the case. You can tell that they had so many different cooks in the kitchen, they didn't know what to fucking cook for the entree. And what you get is this fucking shit gumbo for dinner. And it fucking stinks, all right? I can smell that shit from here. It stinks, man. I can't stand this movie. It has the guy from fucking Burn Notice in it as the lead. Need I fucking say more? Erica Learson, who I like, she's in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, which is another movie I fucking hate. Of course, who plays the hot goth chick? Oh God, I don't remember her damn name. I'm looking in the cast here. Kim Director. She's probably the best thing in this movie. I like Kim Director. She plays the hot goth chick. I like her. But man, it's just a forgettable film. It doesn't really tie in much with the original. It's not one of those cases where they said, let's tone up the gore, let's show stuff. And honestly, in a lot of ways, I wish they maybe had tried that. Like, personally, what I would have done, you got Joe Berlinger, who's coming off Paradise Lost, the child murders around the hills. I would try to do something like that again with the interviews. Just have him, that guy knows how to get a good interview. Use that to your advantage. And then have the Jeffrey Donovan character, who I would recast, have him as a recasted person, and he's obsessed and he wants to know what's going on, and he wants to know if the legend is true, and he takes a couple of his friends into the woods and they get lost again and maybe unveil some secrets. Obviously, I don't want anything spoiled. I don't want to see a Blair Witch again. I don't want this, that, or the other thing to be spoiled. But at the same time, what they do with this movie, I don't get this at all. Like, basically, they all pretty much kill each other off, and they all see shit, and they all don't know what is real and what is not, and it just becomes more and more fucking obscure and weird. There's a fucking orgy, and they all don't fucking remember it, and what the fuck? I don't know. I don't even know what to say about this movie. It's just a fucking mess. It really is. This movie is the definition of a mess. Like, there's no clear cut direction or path that they were going in. It's just an absolute mess. It's the definition of when shit hits the fan. There's no real move or you know, potential here. I think it's just a kind of a studio piece of shit. It's one of those movies that the studio said, we're going to dabble our fingers with you, Joe. And I think they really ruined this film. And I think he's a good filmmaker. I still like Joe Berlinger. I think he's made some good films after this. He made a great film before this. But for whatever reason, man, the studio just decided to dabble and completely killed this franchise, which it shouldn't have been a franchise. But it really did kill the potential that this had to be like a Saw, to be like a Paranormal Activity, a movie that were game changers and had multiple sequels. This one, it was pretty much the one and done for a long time. I don't know, man. I don't get into this movie at all. I think it's an absolute mess. And I tried to rewatch it last night, turned it off after about 30 minutes. It's a bad film. It's a tough one to sit and get through, too. Book of Shadows had a really cool behind the scenes details, and that just gets lost in shit. Unfortunately, yeah. Oh, the 2016 one, and they're drones. Oh my god, I hate that movie. Book of Shadows is a mess and not a fun mess. Yeah, that's the thing. It's not fun, and it's not really has no atmosphere. Whereas the first one, it had all the atmosphere in the world. Second one, nothing. And they shot it like a real film. Just throw it out the window, man. I really, yeah, for real. Yeah, watch it. Anybody who tries to give Book of Shadows a rewatch, you know it's not going to end well. Like, it's usually it wasn't that bad when you sit down and it ends and you're like, hey, it was that bad. What was I saying? Like, horrible, man. I throw that movie out the window. To me, I don't like that movie. I do know, though, that Ryan is not alone. There are some people that, for whatever reason, really, I know the guys over at Dead Pit put Blair Witch Book of Shadows 2 over. I don't know. It's not my cup of tea for sure, man. I think maybe if they let Joe Berlinger run with the ball and do real interviews and shoot it shot on video, maybe it would have worked, but it just didn't. But even with that said, even with me outwardly fucking hating Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2, it's not the worst of the three. It is far from the worst of the three. And of course, the movie that I am talking about that is the worst of the three is none other than 2016's entry into the series. It is Adam Wingard's Blair Witch. Oh my god. This is going to be tough. I'll read the plot synopsis. After discovering a video showing what he believes to be his vanished sister, Heather Donahue, James and a group of his friends head to the forest believed to be inhabited by the Blair Witch. Oh, boy. Blair Witch 2016 stinks. It fucking stinks. This is everything that the original isn't. This movie is such a fucking piece of shit. I will never watch it again. It is the complete opposite of why the first one works, right? So right off the bat, your plot, your setup is bad. 15 years has passed. If my sister went missing for 15 years in the fucking woods, and somehow on YouTube a video of her may have shown up, 15 years later, that bitch is dead. She died. It's 15 years. You think she survived 15 years in the fucking woods? What is she eating? She eating pine cones? What the fuck? Like, I don't like that setup at all. That's fucking, it's horrible. It's ridiculous. I'm gonna go find my sister. Fuck you! You gotta go find your sister. That bitch is dead. She's a skeleton. Come on. Horrible setup. Then you have a bunch of idiots that go into the fucking woods and you know how we'll defeat the Blair Witch and you know how we won't get lost? We'll bring drones with us. It sounds like something fucking Vince Russo would book. Yo, bro, the only way to beat the Blair Witch is to bring in drones and fly them in the sky so they can see their way home. Are you fucking kidding me? You gotta be fucking kidding. I mean, that's horrible. That's fucking horrible. And all these dumbasses come, and it basically is, in a way, a body count film. You see all the stick figures, and somebody goes, oh, fuck the stick figure, snaps it, and someone in the group snaps in half. Really? Really? Are you serious? Like, okay, so now you're telling me that in the original film, if Mike, Heather, or Josh had grabbed one of those and snapped them, one of them would have snapped in half, right? That's horrible. That's diminishing the creativity of your first film. That's horrible. There's the whole spoiler of these people go off for 2 minutes and they come back and it's been weeks. They're like, we haven't been able to find you for weeks. Where have you been? So obviously, if you split up, if you go a certain direction, it alters time. Why are you going that route? Why? So in reality, they're saying that the first film, they could have been gone for 2 minutes and it just felt like 3 weeks to them. There's no reason to say stuff like that because you're hurting your first movie. There's no reason to say that. And this one bitch, she's crossing the river and she cuts her foot on a rock and there's something inside her. And they dwell on it for fucking 20 minutes. This girl, there's something in my foot. There's something in my foot. That's what you're doing with this? This bitch cut her foot? That's a 20-minute angle in this movie. This bitch cut her foot. What the fuck? What are you doing? I cut my foot, bro. We gotta stop everything. You cut your foot. Put your fucking boot on and keep going. Jesus Christ. And that same dumb bitch decides, I'm gonna climb a tree. I'm gonna climb a tree to grab a drone that's stuck in the tree. And she falls out of the tree and dies. That's one of the deaths in this movie. There's a character in it that fucking is working in cahoots with the Blair Witch. He shows up at the end of the movie and he's like, oh, I've been working for her. Oh, Blair Witch turns on him. You see a Blair Witch in this film. And it looks like a giant fucking rotisserie chicken. You want some fucking rotisserie? I don't want any rotisserie, bro. I don't want any rotisserie in my Blair Witch films. It's a giant fucking rotisserie running around. And these fucking stupid people going, ah! That's what you do, Adam Wingard, after fucking all these years and all this hype of I'm marketed as The Woods, I'm clever, and then bam, it's a Blair Witch sequel, and we're gonna forget about Blair Witch 2. Blair Witch 2 is better than this movie. And Blair Witch 2 stinks. It stinks. Blair Witch 2 stinks. And it's still better than your shitty movie. With your giant fucking rotisserie witches running around the house. If I had seen fucking Mike, Heather, or Josh getting tased by a rotisserie, I would have flushed this down the fucking toilet. I would have. God damn. I just don't get it. I don't understand why when this movie does so well with its creativity and what it doesn't show you and the fact of all the legends and the little stories and the genuine organic interviews that they get and that creepy ending with no music, no anything. And this, they were like, we got to show this, we got to explain that, we have to explain this, we've got to use a drone, we have to play with time, we have to play with reality, we have to say that the video that they found was something that the Blair Witch fucked with so he would see his sister and come into the woods. So she lured them in. She lured them in via YouTube. The Blair Witch uploaded it. I don't know. And there are people that like it. There are people that will tell you it's better than the first one. That what they showed, it was brilliant. We finally saw the Blair Witch. Well, how bad did it fucking let me down, man? It's just such a letdown because it really is the truth. If we had seen a Blair Witch in this movie would not have worked. It would not have. I'm sorry, but it wouldn't have. It would have been another it probably would have went direct to video movie that nobody talked about or mentioned much. I don't think. Um, it's just, I think it's a mess, and I think that Adam Wingard sorely missed why the original Blair Witch Project is truly great. I think he does everything the opposite. Like I watched the new one and go, this guy didn't get why the first one was great. He might even be one of those people that didn't like the first one. And hey, I know there's a lot of people who don't like the first one. I'm not saying you're wrong for not liking the first one, but to show everything, man. Oh, it just really ruins it. And it really, when I watch the first film now, I do think of those twigs and when the person gets snapped, and that's a bit. Why? Like, why did you? And the explaining that this was time alternate and all this stuff, and it has the same exact ending where the guy yells at his girl, "Stand in the corner, stand in the corner," and they both, obviously, the camera falls and you see. It's just absolute piece of shit movie. I think it's worthless. I think it's everything that is what a Blair Witch sequel shouldn't be. A movie that tells and shows everything and leaves nothing to your imagination. It's a movie that they were like, well, we're not giving our viewers any credit for having an imagination. And unfortunately, the movie crashes and burns under its own 2 feet, man. And I really hate Blair Witch 2016, aka Blair Rotisserie Chicken Witch 2016. All right, I don't like the film. I refuse. I haven't eaten rotisserie chicken since. Okay, so I should tell you something because that shit stunk, man. I hate Blair Witch 2016. If I had to rank it and Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows is probably like a 2 out of 10. It's a piece of shit movie. But Blair Witch 2016, I don't have any fucking positives. I will come in at the rifled score of a 0 out of 10. I hate the Blair Witch 2016. To me, one of the worst horror movies I've seen in the last 10 years. It is up there. Definitely in the theater, one of the worst horror movies I've seen in the last 10 years. For sure, man. Hate that one. Need Gore! Oh, good brother. How are you, my friend? Dude, I watched your Return of the Living Dead 3 review today. Absolutely excellent, man. Everybody who is watching this, man, Nigor puts up some amazing horror content. His review of Day of the Dead was absolutely fucking great, man. You made me realize some of the themes in that movie that I never really thought much about at all. Like when I was watching your review and you mentioned certain themes, I was like, wow, like that's a good fucking point. I never thought of that, man. Like I really liked your review of Day of the Dead, man. Everybody check out Nigor's channel. He puts up excellent fucking content, man. And he telling me to keep killing the game. You keep killing the game, my man. Your stuff's awesome. I hope all is well with you, man. I would love to do a collaboration with you at some time too. I would love, for nothing else, man. I'd love to talk horror with you and ask like how you got your roots on, how you started watching horror, man. Because when I have my guests on, I love to know how they got into the genre, and I would love to hear your tale, man. So maybe someday down the road, maybe in Rocktober, man. No better month for it, right? The Soulless Trench Coat, my good brother. Hey, man, have a good live. Haven't seen Blair Witch 2, but dislike both Blair Witch and the remake. Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, see, it's a very polarizing movie, the first one. And hey, man, I'm certainly on the same boat with you about that remake or reboot or whatever the fuck. I hate that. I hate that movie with a passion. I hate that movie. I will never watch that movie again because I was in a theater and I wanted to scream, but I was respectful of everybody else. But that was a piece of shit movie. Book of Shadows 1 out of 10. Blair Witch 0 out of 10. That's a 1 out of 20, everybody. That's 5%. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Why didn't they bring guns, but they brought drones? Dude, I don't fucking know. I have no idea. Why did they? I just think, man, there's no reason to make a sequel to this. It's just let it get like people. It's so split down the middle that the people that hate this are not wanting to see a sequel. And honestly, the people that love it don't want to see a sequel either because they don't want to see this explained because this was less is more, one of those cases where less is more. That's why this movie works. So if you show more, it becomes less. That defeats the whole purpose. Just stick with this movie. To me, this is one like my man. Oh Jesus Christ! What the fuck? Neon Black Reviews was saying before. One I always pop in around Rocktober. This year I did a little early September, mid to late September, threw this one in. But it's a perfect movie to watch around Halloween season and when the fall hits. It's a perfect fall horror movie to me. And man, it's one that I love this movie. It's grown on me a lot. The reboot is horrible. At least the first one has something going for it. 100%, man. Yeah, it at least it's trying to be creative, and it really was creative, considering they had no fucking money and they literally rented their camera from a circuit city, which isn't even in fucking business anymore. That goes to show you how different of a time it was. Even though it was now it's 21 years ago. That's crazy. Uh, what do you think is worse, Predator or the Blair Witch? Blair Witch is worse. Blair Witch is worse. At least. Well, Jesus Christ. I don't know if I give a positive for the Predator. I guess at least there was a Predator in it. I mean, I guess I would say that. I would rather see the Predator take a shit for 2 hours and see a rotisserie chicken chasing people. It's just me. I don't know. I guess the Predator, but I mean they're both bad. Definitely Blair Witch is worse though. I hate it more for sure. I will say that Blair Witch is more enjoyable if you look at it. A plot between the two dudes to kill the girl and get away with it. Yeah, see, that's something I didn't mention during the review. There were people that originally had the theory that Mike and Josh were fucking with Heather. That's interesting. That's one of those things where 100 people see a movie and 100 people see a different movie. That's one of those theories I've heard that like I never got that when I watched. I never thought, oh, they're playing with her. I thought they were all fucking scared and stuff. But wouldn't that be a twist that it was all a practical joke to get her? Like that would be really cool. Obviously, I don't think that's what happened, but it's one of those cool things to talk about at the water cooler. That's the beauty of when horror is booming and when it is a part of pop culture. You want to be talking about it at the workplace. You want to be thinking about it night and day or in between whatever you're doing. It's one of those things where that's why I think a movie like the Blair Witch Project works. Even though I didn't like the first time I watched it, I was thinking about that ending. That ending stuck with me and it made me want to revisit the film. Not easy to do. Definitely not easy to do. And I think that it was a movie that really it changed horror and popular culture for a long time. Really up until Saw came out, in my opinion. So that's a good 5 years where Blair Witch and then movies like American Psycho and all those neo slashers, they were really dominating the genre. I think the townspeople killed the characters in the original Blair Witch. See, that's another really interesting one. And that's the fun thing is there's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong. Maybe they did actually get lost and keep walking in circles because they were so stupid. Maybe it wasn't an alternate time thing. Maybe it wasn't. It doesn't have to be anything. It could be whatever we think. That's the beauty of using your imagination and letting the viewer decide for themselves. I don't know if it's right or wrong. There doesn't have to be a right or wrong, and that's why it works. I think personally, that's the coolest thing about it. I don't know. It just makes the movie more enjoyable in my eyes. Just my opinion, though. Hey, man, I totally see where you're coming from. I think that. So, I remember one time I watched it trying to think that, and I was like, "Oh man, isn't that interesting?" I think it's so cool if people think shit like that. Like that tells you how creative people really are. Like, because I watched it, never got that vibe, never. But I think it's so cool that so many people have. Like, oh man, they were totally fucking with that bitch. Like, that's perfect water cooler talk to me. Like, yo, that bitch was so annoying. They were like, fuck this bitch. We're gonna make her think that she's walking in circles, and when she's asleep at night, we're gonna put these twigs and rocks together. And bro, I'll run away and take out one of my teeth, and the craziest of practical jokes. But again, a creative one. And when there's creativity to be had, there is fun to be had. So I think that's the beauty of it. But all right, I've been going long enough. I guess we will cut it short here. I've been on my classic over an hour formula here. I will be back next week. I'm thinking maybe not next week, but the following week. I want to do Tales from the Dark Side top 10 episodes. That's going to be an October episode for sure. That's what I'm looking forward to. So I really look forward to that because I've been watching Tales from the Dark Side out the wazoo. As for next week, I don't know yet. I could do. I was thinking maybe Wrong Turn. I could do Wrong Turn retrospective. I could do Final Destination. I figured that would be maybe a good one. So if anybody has suggestions, either I would always be open to that. Maybe not definitely next week, but always for down the road. But yeah, I will be back next week. Don't know what the topic's going to be yet, but as soon as I do, you will be the first to know. That's a Stuntman Mike quote. Love me some Death Proof. Sorry. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your weekend. Thank you all for joining me. There were a lot of you here. I mean, I don't even know if I could thank you all individually, but yeah, everybody that was here, God bless you, and thank you for supporting my channel live in living color. This will be up to watch as soon as I end this broadcast. To watch if you missed it live. If you did, thank you so much. If not, obviously, I will catch you on the flip side. So that is all for now. I am the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names of kicking candy ass. Live in living color here with you on Grande's Graveyard. Too sweet, peace, and we will catch you on the dark side. Ooh. I'm still live, I think. Am I still live? Did it not end? I'm still live, I think. Why is it not ending? Is this progress? What the fuck happened? This broadcast has become the Blair Witch Project. I can't end this live stream. What the hell? I'm still. Oh my god, why? Why is this not working? Oh, let me end the broadcast. Yo, what? Yo, this is good, clean comedy, dude. It still won't end.